Welcome to the Marpai.
You might have to speak into that.
Yeah, they said it, but screw it.
Okay.
I'm not enough. It should pick it up. Welcome to the Marpai Planet MicroCap presentation. Unfortunately, you're all winners in here, but if you'd sat in the front row, Damien would have given you $20 free slot play. So sorry you missed out, from there. So I'm Steve Johnson, I'm the CFO of Marpai Inc. This is my boss man, Damien Lamandola, CEO and Director of Marpai. I want to bring your attention to the required forward-looking statements because Damien will be making forward-looking statements without a doubt from there. And from that, I'll turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Steve. In order to completely understand the business model, we've learned that if we say we're a third-party administrator, we're a software house client, a business, a lot of people don't completely understand. So, in the United States, insurance falls into two categories: self-funded and fully insured. How many of you have insurance today with your company? And give me a couple names of who it's with. Who's your insurance carrier? The United States, Aetna, Humana, Blue Cross Blue Shield. Okay, so those are what we call the carriers, and a lot of what they do is fully insured. They say to the employer, hey, we'll charge you $13,000 a year per employee, no matter what the cost is. They make about 20% profit on top of that after the payout expenses. But that's how they do fully insured. On self-funded, the employer says, I will pay whatever the medical bill is every month, whether it goes up or down. They buy reinsurance to cover if they have issues, like it's specific on a person or the group is higher. In return for that, if they save money by encouraging employees to be healthy, they save money. So we say, if we pick up a group, like if we go to Blue Cross Blue Shield, and they've got 5,000 employees, or 2,000 or 500, typically over 100 is self-funded, we'll save to the employer on average anywhere from 10 to 20, 30% over what they're paying today, and give them better service, because we're self-funded. Self-funded covers $1.5 trillion of hospital spend, of medical spend, in the United States out of the $4.5 trillion spent. It's a big part, and it's growing. It's because the employer saves money, because the employee saves money, and we can work, and the employer sets the plan design. They say we want co-pays to be this amount, we want to cover hospital visits at this amount, we want to cover this, and then we administer. That's why we're called a third-party administrator. Because of all of that, they save money when the employees are healthy. And because of that, frankly, I love tariffs, I love inflation, and I love it when the stock market drops 20%. Because employers need to save money when that happens. And we walk in, we save the money, put money on the bottom line. We're the best thing that happens at the bottom line because every employer wants to get great benefits to attract the right people, but they want to do it at the right cost, and we save them money. We save the employees money because we lower the cost of their drug spend, medical expenses, because we work with them to improve their behavior so they spend less. So that's what a third-party administrator does. That's what we do. A couple of years ago, I had a course called Pharmacy Benefit Management. If you have a United card or anything else, they have a prescription benefit in there. The PBM does data and finance. They make sure you're eligible, what your copay is, and so forth. Finance, they pay the pharmacy whatever the difference is. And I sold that business to a small private equity company called Carlisle, took some of the proceeds from that, started up a PPA called Continental Benefits, merged that with Marpai because they had a bunch of AI technology. And that was about 8 years ago. The management staff that we have in place basically blew through a lot of money. I stepped in November a year ago, so did Steve, so did our new president. We significantly reduced our costs. I'm giving you an overview. Steve's going to go through the slides and answer the other questions. Significantly reduced our expenses to where we reduced our spend. They spent lost over $30 million 2.5 years ago. We're going to be cash flow positive by the end of this year. We're traded on the OTCQX. And we've done that improvement in our cost structure by significantly reducing waste and overhead to people we didn't need. We reduced our staffing from 220 people down to today 80 people and improved on service. Now, that was operational that we reduced costs. We're going to place a sales force that's going to significantly grow at the end of this year. Most of our new revenue comes to bringing on new groups. And if all of you that have insurance know, typically you review your plan, you pick the new people, new doctors, January 1. So 70% of our business comes on January 1. So when I say we're going to be cash flow positive by the second half of this year, then it's going to explode in Q1. Because of all the business that comes on January 1. We are national. We have groups throughout the United States. Currently anywhere from 50 lives up to 10,000, and we're working on groups that have over 400,000 lives. So there's no limit to the size of the group we can pick up. There's no limit to where we can do it within the United States. So we can operate anywhere in the United States as a license in all the states. Probation in Tampa, and I think that was the majority of what I was going to cover. Let me, before I give up the floor, see any questions on what I've covered so far? Yes, sir.
Do you roll up like smaller groups that are less than 50 or into 4 and 5, 10s and put them into an aggregate?
We don't. Typically, if you're that small, I encourage you to work with a private employment organization, a full source or whatever. And they'll do that. It's weird if you've ever worked with those. It's weird because they say you're co-employed. ADP total sources name is on your paycheck as well as your employers. And they provide each of our benefits. And what they do, the PEO, is they say, we're going to combine your 10 or 20 people with 80,000 more and get you better benefits. They have to do that in order to consolidate the risk legally and provide that kind of insurance coverage. But we don't do that. Any other questions? Great question. Okay? Yes?
Just on the, I don't know, just on the industry structure, if you're competing with Sedgwick or some of the other bigger competitors, how do you get that one down?
We give better service and lower prices. Or not. To give you specifics, we have to give you a network of doctors and hospitals, right? We can tap into, we have a contract with Aetna to use their entire network. We have the same thing with Cigna. We use their network. Aetna says if we bid on some of their business, we can't use their network because we always underprice it. Same thing with Cigna. So we have lower prices than they do because they have to maintain their stock prices at a very high level because it already makes their cheap margins. We don't have to make the same margin. So we have better. I love to tell the story because we're in Vegas right now. 3 years ago, we were about to be awarded the MGM business across the nation for 35,000 lives. And it was with United Healthcare. They're good size. And the CEO of Optimum flew to Vegas and met with the CEO of MGM. He says, if you move that business over to Marpai, United Healthcare will never hold another conference in any of your hotels anywhere in the world. The CEO of MGM said, pound sand. Your service sucks and the prices are too high. So the CEO of Optimum flew back to Minneapolis and said, oh shit. What do I do? So he flew back to Vegas, the CEO of MGM and said, I'm sorry, I offended you. We'll pay you $100 million. This is the 35,000 lives. This is how much money today. We'll pay you $100 million to put our name on the conference room that you're building. What's the hockey team called? The what?
Las Vegas Night.
But they built, MGM built that Coliseum. They paid them $100 million to put the name on a conference room. Keep that business. Because they knew if we picked up that business, we'd win all the casino business in Vegas. That's how much money they made, but that's how we can underdo it. Any other questions? I've never been in that stadium since it pissed me off so much. All right, Steve?
All right, we'll go through a few things. Marpai by the numbers. Share price on the 17th, oh, it came out bad. It was $1.05, about 15 million shares.
This has to, here.
Market cap a little over 15 million. Average daily volume the past 30 days about almost 13,000 shares a day. I want to highlight that. I wonder if this has a little laser thing. I don't know. I'll screw it up if I.
His voiceover.
Here we go. 52% insider ownership. I got 40% standing right next to me. So our executives and directors own an additional 12%. Net revenue was about $28 million. Net loss, while not great, was a huge improvement of before, $22 million. Our adjusted EBITDA, $9.1 million negative. We'll get into that more later. An unrestricted cash balance of just over $800,000. And as we mentioned, we're traded on the OTCQX. You can get it at a discount tomorrow morning when it opens, because it's at 96 cents today. So, you know, you can go back and watch the video and do the details, because we put a lot of information on the slide really to help educate people about the TPA industry and a little bit more about Marpai. But the key is that with continued healthcare inflation, more and more employers are moving from a traditional, fully funded program to the self-funded model. On the TPA services, we offer the plan design, claim administration, that's the bread and butter. But where you make the money is in the value-added services, cost containment, specialty benefit management like high-dollar drugs, data analytics, identifying your population that's at risk, transparency. So when you have a fully funded program, you know, you're paying your normal $100,000 a month to Blue Cross Blue Shield. Do they share the data that, you know, your employees, you know, 10 of them had heart attacks that month? No. Do they tell you that 20 of your employees have diabetes and are not, it's uncontrolled? No, they don't. With the TPA, we share that data, de-identified, to the employees, and we can recommend programs to address and attack that so it doesn't continue. You know, let's say they have high blood pressure, hey, let's just get that under control so they don't have a stroke or a heart attack from there. And then as Damien said, is we've got with our, not only we have Aetna and Cigna, those are the big name brands that everybody, but we have access to 7 other networks, regional, you know, because in Wyoming, you know, Aetna's not very strong there. Well, there's only like 30,000 people in Wyoming. So there's regional healthcare plans that we can partner with to get the right coverage. Some of the key things, and you can read this later when you want to fall asleep, you know, later tonight. But the key things we want to share with you is employers typically save up to 10% by just simply moving from a fully funded plan to a self-funded plan. That's all they did. They just moved from fully funded to self-funded, automatic 50% savings without any of the value-add savings there. And they benefit immediately and directly from the negotiations that we lead on getting the lower cost items. So for example, medical claims, they go through a computer system and, you know, mumbo jumbo numbers, zeros and ones and stuff like that. And the big guys don't even look at it until it's over $50,000 to $75,000. There's a tremendous amount of waste and fraud in the medical claims system. Tremendous. So we go much lower. We go at the discretion of our client. We go down as low as $1,000. And our team goes through and looks and says, hey, they were in there for a back problem. Why did they get an arm splint? What the hell was that? You know, or why were they coded for a stroke and they had low blood sugar? Wait a minute, you know, stroke's gonna be 25 grand, blood sugar's gonna be 1,000. So that's the thing that our, you know, our claims people pay attention to and dig into the details of that. Oh shit, there we go. Is that right? Yeah. All right, let's talk about the market in general. And I apologize, it's very tiny. So again, go back when you want to fall asleep on this. But let's start with the nice graph that everybody can see here. Is, you know, fortunately for me, 2 weeks ago, a research report was released about the U.S. healthcare insurance third-party administrator market, which is Virgo. I'm like, great. 2024 to 2031, the CAGR is 12.1%. Not bad. The total one, and this is from Houlihan Lokey, employer-sponsored healthcare. fall 2024 relevant data. The total addressable market for Marpai is $150 billion. Okay, so there's some things we can play in there. $150 billion is a nice big pool. The market tailwinds and growth. It's the increasing demand for services and technology solutions driven by the high and rising costs. That's why Damien says he loves tariffs, inflations, and a bad stock market, because companies need to save money. Switching costs. So combined with the revenue models is we'll have what's called a per employee per month fee, almost like renting your Microsoft license from their software license. It's, it could be $90 per person per month, and we typically have 3-year contracts, and it's nice and smooth. It's great. All the value-added services that we provide, it's a revenue share, so we get extra margin from that side. So it's a nice revenue model from there. And then lastly, market fragmentation. There's it's like the 80-20 rule. There's a bunch of big guys out there, CVS, Humana, CVS Caremark, publicly traded, they've got big networks, and they have their in-house TPA services there. The rest of the 20% is typically mom and pop TPAs that are regional. Maybe they support the northern Georgia, Atlanta metro area from there. So they don't have to get one license. It's probably the people that they meet at the Rotary and Toastmasters from that standpoint. And they're happy. They're making, $200,000-$300,000. They're paying for their kids' college education and things, and they're doing all right. So Marpai, though, is the only publicly traded national TPA out there. Now, we spent a lot of money to lay the groundwork and the fixed costs and getting all the certification, all the compliance there. And so we've got that under control and ready to go. Again, very favorable market dynamics there. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of roll-ups going on in the private equity market. Back when we were Continental Benefits, I would get calls from my business school buddies saying, hey, I heard you're at Continental Benefits. You guys going to sell? No, Dame's not going to sell. So, and then we sold. And then they're like, what the hell? You didn't tell me. I said, you took stock. There's no money, we expect, big things. All right, you can read through this, but the key thing I want to stress is we've got affordable, intelligent healthcare solutions. All right, our favorite topic lately, tariffs, Trump, and independence. All right, as I alluded to earlier, is the vast majority of the national TPAs are divisions of publicly traded insurance. Well, where do they make the most of the money? It's off their provider network. Hell, Aetna makes $17 PEPM from us to pay for access to the network. They already have the network, it's pure profit to them from it. So they're there managing the network. They don't want to piss off the providers by cutting their fees. We don't care. We're going to cut their fees because our clients are the employers, not the providers from them. The next is with the potential implementation of the tariff policies, you're going to see increases in the cost of medical supplies, since like freaking 92% of all medical supplies come from China. All the pharmaceuticals are coming from Ireland and India and Vietnam. And equipment. They're all going to get tariffed. Until we bring back the jobs and the capability here. That's a benefit for our market because we save employers money. On top of that, when the manufacturing gets their act together and builds in the United States, then we got 4 million new employees that we can go after because now there are U.S. manufacturing and U.S. jobs and U.S. employers. All right. Again, we talk about how important our clients are, and they come first, and all that kind of good stuff. Hey, we got a pretty decent leadership team. Damien created a PDM, sold it to Carlisle for reporting in the Wall Street Journal, $1 billion. He was the only one that owned the entire company. So they didn't have to split it with anybody. Now,
And the big tax.
well, taxes, yeah. From there. And we hired this guy, John Powers, phenomenal, as our new president in January 2024. Previous CEO of another rival TPA. And then you got this guy, you know, he kind of rides the coattails of the top two. Steve Johnson, you know, previously CFO of Continental Benefits and all around good guy. All right, the important thing with our strategic initiatives is they're clear, concise, and focused. We're not looking at a list of 14 things. It's 3. Boom. Then you go on a little bit about what we're specifically doing to enact all 3 of those. Customer experience, Damien alluded to it there. The operational KPIs, when we first came on board, the average speed to answer was like 3 minutes, now it's 10 seconds. The claim processing time was over 30 days, now it's 7. And we did that while we were cutting 150 people. We were just fat, dumb, and lazy. Well, the previous was. And then he took over and whipped us into shape. So the key here is it wasn't rocket science. It was proper blocking and tackling. And by the way, John Powers played college football. So it worked out real well. And if you disagree with him, he did body slam.
Let's pause it. We got 5 minutes.
We got 3 minutes.
3 minutes before they go to the rings. Let's ask questions.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So to me sounds like the big players are the gorillas, and the business is sort of like insurance brokering, where you are helping facilitate employers to find the right plans and trying to lean them off of fall risk to maybe educated, like employers take some risk, and then you help lower costs that way.
Great.
And how much are you saving the employer on average as a percentage of what they were paying these big guys?
Anywhere from 10 to 50%.
And are the employers seeking you out most of the time, or are you kind of marketing to them actively and are you having to do a lot of education, or they are trying to find you guys?
It's both, about half and half. About half of it is they're seeking us out. The rest of it is this business is basically driven by brokers, like they locate brokers, or brokers and consultants with one employer, and they're seeking us out. So it comes about half and half. You're absolutely right in the sun, correct, in terms of what we do today.
And in terms, because I would think the idea of, hey, we can cut costs, there got to be several players, and you guys are probably better overall from, you know, United and Friends, but within the little guy, what makes you differentiated there? Or you think the tailwind is that industry is going to move that way?
Very questionable that there's probably 2,000 family-owned TPAs at a small level that they'll have 5,000 or 10,000 lives. We're going to go to millions of lives, and they're still mom and pop, literally. And a lot of times the IT department is their son who writes the website. A lot of them have computers now on the internet, and they're very happy because they get enough money. You can have 20,000 lives and have an income of $200,000 as a TPA and be happy. We're innovating way above that. We're spending billions in IT and everything else. But that's what separates.
You're smarter than the other, maybe they're more legacy and old school. And of the big guys, do they have to work with you guys, or can they force it so if the employer wants a United network or Blue Cross network, they have to go with them?
Think about it.
No,
They're going to do the big one.
because of Robinson Patent antitrust, they can't do it. And they can't do, they're outlawing those favorization clauses, best pricing clauses. And in addition to that networks, we're setting up, as Steve said, 7 or 8 infringement rules. So we're setting up a national network with 700,000 providers and our own reinsurance. And we're going to go to those providers in the next 6 months and say, if you send in a claim, we're going to pay you in 24 hours instead of 60 days. We're going to reject every claim. The big carriers reject every claim in order to try to get the doctors to drop the claim. We'll pay within 24 hours, and they've told us, and then when the doctor at the hospital said, if you pay me 24 hours, I'll give you 15% lower rate on everything, so search and everything. Then we get to the Blue Cross United States and that. So there's ways we can engineer, and we are engineering around what they offer, and we do it all. Question?
What, you still have this $9 million loss in 2024, and that's a heck of a gap to try to get to break even, but you seem confident in your ability to really accelerate revenues, get to that profitability.
Yeah, we did 11 million last year, it's even easier.
Yeah. So
Now, what was the loss in Q4?
It was like 1.6 million.
Yeah, so it's $9 million for the year because we were coming off a ramp,
Right.
and that's why we're getting close to break even now, but we'll be at break even and flying off and profitable after that, so it's great, good.
Is that on a cash flow basis, or are you looking at that from percent?
Okay, what?
Cash flow.
Or cash flow?
Cash flow.
So there's been a lot of dilution that's happened over the past 18 months. Is that expected to continue, is that operating cash flow going to be able to support the business?
Yeah, we have about 35,000 miles now. If you wanted to add 500,000 miles in the next 12 months, you can still do that with 80 people. This is like credit card transactions, it's claims processing, it's a lot of AI in terms of claims and software. So we can more than our group, we can 10x our business. No more. Questions?
Okay, wrap it up.
You have a minute or they have another? I have 2 minutes still.
You guys are out of time, you're allotted 25 minutes.
Oh,
Oh, I thought we were till 6. You're cutting us 3 minutes.
okay.
10%
You know what?
discount.
If anybody wants to stick around with questions, we're here.
Or see us at the networking event.
Thank you.